Welcome to the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast, where it is never too early for fantasy football. My name is Jeff.
Alex.
As always, thank you for downloading, listening, liking, and commenting on our podcast videos. Please join our community by subscribing to us on the socials. Our handle on all platforms is at N2E Fantasy. We're also available on all major podcasting apps by searching N2E Fantasy. Alex, what do we have on today's show?
On this episode of the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast, we are covering the latest league news and our quick takeaways of week 2 of the preseason. So we'll be going first here with the league news, starting with some signings and trades. Jeff, the Houston Texans, have traded John Mechie, fourth-year wide receiver, to Philadelphia in exchange for a pick swap. So they're getting a fifth and they're giving up a sixth, and they're also getting tight end Harrison Bryant back. So they're getting their own fifth that they traded to get the defensive back CJ, and this is basically turning into a Kenyon Green and Mechie swap for that defensive back as well. So they really like trading with Philadelphia for some reason. I think John Mechie probably becomes wide receiver 3 for that team. He played college with Devonta Smith. So they're pretty close there. A good trade for Philly. I'm not so sure about the Texans.
I think the Texans were signaling that they weren't going to keep Mechie this year, so they got something for him, and they perceived tight end a need after Brevin Jordan last week. But Philly has some real players in that wide receiver room now. They have AJ Brown, Devonta Smith. They have Johan Dotson and John Mechie now. So there's a good top four right there. I know at one point we were saying Dotson could be the guy in Washington. So I know that he's fallen a bit, but he still has some potential.
Mechie hasn't worked out so far in Houston, but looks good in camp and looks good in preseason so far. He might end up winning a Super Bowl with the Eagles this year, so it's a good landing spot for him.
That's true, and in a couple of weeks, you'll be able to let us know who your Super Bowl winner is going to be in your playoff teams. But going back to that, ever since his diagnosis about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, doesn't feel like he has ever been given a chance to completely course correct or figure all of this out. So hopefully a new start in Philly is what he needs. But this will be his third year or fourth year.
Fourth year.
So his deal is done at the end. And yeah, I mean, Philly's got to be one of the Super Bowl favorites. I think it's really hard to repeat the Super Bowl, but not impossible.
All right. Well, one of your favorites, running back Brian Robinson Jr., is being shopped by the Washington Commanders. Jeff, how do you feel about this, or where do you think he could go?
I really don't like this. I don't really like shopping good players that are under team-friendly deals at this point in the preseason, because I feel like you've done a disservice to the player at this point. It is possible that Brian Robinson wanted a new deal and they weren't willing to match it, and he was unhappy and asked for a trade. But him not suiting up this week, I think that's a clear message that the the Commanders want to trade him. I could see the Texans being a spot. I know we talked about that earlier today. We really have no idea what's going on with Joe Mixon. It's been very minimal chatter from the team, if any chatter at all. And Alex, I see you tearing up over there over Joe Mixon potentially being out for the year. No, what do you think about Brian Robinson going to the Texans?
I don't think it would happen. I think he'd be too redundant with the Texans. They're already going to have a tough decision on cutting down their running back roster. So I don't really envision him going there. I could see him going to a team like the Raiders to offset Mostert, because I don't think Mostert has much left in the tank, even though I know you personally love him. Could also see him going to like the Chargers to be the number 2 behind Omari and Hampton if Najee isn't going to be back. One-eyed Najee. So those are two spots
Is
I
that
could
your
see him
new
going to.
team that doesn't have a team name? The one-eyed Najee?
Yeah.
I don't know if you have Najee in that league, but in his 3 years in the NFL, he's never had below 733 rushing yards. He's also never had over 799 rushing yards, and that was last year his most ever. I just feel like it's weird to trade a player that could potentially gain 1,000 total yards for you this year. Like, they're not a stacked weapon team. Anybody that could get any positive yardage, it should have been kept this year, in my opinion.
Well, the reasons why they're reportedly shopping him is because they want versatility from all their running backs. They don't want to give away plays. And if he's in, it's only going to be a run. He's not really a pass blocker. He's not a pass catcher. So it limits what they can do. That's the only
You,
thing that's been
you,
whispered about him.
yeah, you say that, but he caught 36 balls in 2023, so he could potentially. But when we get to the Commanders Monday night game, we need to really talk about the running back position and what the Commanders are going to do at running back this upcoming year. But, Alex, one team that will not have to wonder what is going on at running back this season or for the next 4 years is the Buffalo Bills, because they have officially extended running back James Cook. We alluded to the possibility of that happening last week, and he inks the new deal, and he is just ahead of Kyron Williams, but nowhere near Saquon Barkley money, and that's kind of where we thought he would end up.
Yep. I think it works for everyone involved. And after Kyron Williams got a deal, that set the framework, and he narrowly edges them out. He gets to be the versatile receiving back and speedy back for the Bills. Everyone's happy.
Absolutely, and I'm assuming that will be a big part of Hard Knocks this week. All right. Well, I know we just got done talking about the Commanders running back Brian Robinson, but the Commanders also activated from the PUP list wide receiver Terry McLaurin. We thought that it was a exacerbated, I don't know about fake, but exacerbated injury to the point to put him on pup that was technically a hold in. I'm confused because they've activated him. He hasn't signed a new deal yet. He asked for a trade and he's very unhappy with the team, and he even did a hold in to begin the offseason. Alex, what do you expect from this Terry McLaurin news that he got activated off the PUP list?
I think a deal's probably close. I know there's reports saying it's not close, but I think they agree to a deal before the season starts, and it's probably around 30 million per year. It's my guess.
I hope so. If they get rid of McLaurin and Robinson this offseason, that is a huge chunk of their 2024 offensive yards. Last I checked, you don't get better by subtracting, especially with a young second-year quarterback. You give them some stability in the same players.
Yeah.
All right. But speaking of a team that is very depleted in weapons, the Falcons cut DJ Shark, wide receiver that they had signed a couple weeks ago. And Alex, I think we can officially put a bow on DJ Shark and talking about him on the podcast.
Yeah, I can't imagine he could go anywhere at this point where he has some fantasy value.
He's been everywhere. He's literally an everywhere man.
Yep.
All right. So we got the suspension last week and we covered it of Jordan Addison getting 3 games, but we did also find out that Rashee Rice, who had his court case decided the same day virtually as Jordan Addison, will not have a hearing until September 30th. Now, Alex, there was a rumor out there that the league had been asking for double-digit suspension, and Rice's team is arguing for much less. Alex, I'm gonna nail you to this here, but how many games ultimately do you expect Rashee Rice to miss?
I think they'll probably settle halfway and probably will be 6 at this point. So the way I figure it is it would have been anywhere from 4 to 8. They were pushing for potentially 10. that means 4 to 8 is still in the realm of possibility. I mean, he broke the law. He caused an accident that hurt multiple people, caused damage, left the scene, a gun was found in the car. These are all bad things. He made horrible choices that hurt people. Luckily, there's someone smart in his camp that had him take accountability for it literally the next day, apologize for it, try to make amends, try to be contrite, everything he could be to nullify it, and that's what his team is arguing. So that will be factored into the suspension. They no longer really effectively do the appeal process, so it'll probably be set in stone initially to begin with. And just because the court case is set for later in September doesn't mean they don't come to an agreement beforehand. So it's still on the table to potentially take his suspension earlier in the year. And that would be preferable for everyone for fantasy purposes, and especially the Chiefs, because you don't want them missing the Bills game. You don't want them missing the crucial games down the stretch. So hopefully they figure something out. So I'm saying 6 right now.
All right, we will see. We will see. But you're right. They could settle between now and the end of September. They could go to the hearing. But once the hearing's over, I believe both the NFL and Rice's camp can appeal one time out of this. But I believe upon appeal, it goes to Roger Goodell, and he has the final say, which he's the NFL, which is completely a conflict of interest, but nothing that will completely cover on this podcast here. So I remember Watson didn't appeal because it would just go to Goodell and he could have raised it higher. Because that is also a part of the appeal now, is that the commissioner could raise it. So he could go with the original ask. So he could raise it, lower it, or leave it the same. But we'll see. I hope they don't get to that date, as you said. I want to know where to draft him. I really have no idea where to draft him. He's my hardest rated player this year.
I mean, he's almost undraftable because of the uncertainty. And if the suspension comes into effect for playoff time, for fantasy playoff time, I mean, that's entirely detrimental. So I would much rather him get it out of the way now.
Yeah, me too. I think you went a little too far on the undraftable because if everything stays the course, he'll be available for the first 4 games. And there's players that you won't use the entire year that are going to get drafted this year. So he'd be usable for the first four games at least.
Well, you can't stash him on IR in most leagues. So you're burning a roster spot because he's too good to cut. So,
Well,
I
you
mean,
hope to get
if you're
a
going to draft him,
actual ruling.
yeah, but once he's suspended, most leagues only have IR and he's not going to go on IR, and not every league is super deep. So it's going to be really hard to hold on to him.
Yeah. And what if he's suspended for the rest of the season? What if that's a possibility as well. Then you could just cut him and they actually did you a favor.
So, I mean, if you're going to take the risk, you better be at the bottom of your draft.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Now, there's a few players that we need to talk about next that are not going to have a 2025 season or a shortened 2025 season. That's because injuries do happen in the preseason. The first is the Saints placing wide receiver Bub Means, who I was actually pretty high on last year as a rookie. They placed him on IR, ending his 2025 season. And the Buffalo Bills did the same with wide receiver Caden Prather. Put him on IR as a rookie and ends his 2025 rookie season, supposedly with a re-injured hamstring, either in practice or in the second preseason game this week. I know you don't think that these are big losses here, but obviously it's never good when a young player misses an entire season.
No, it's not. And this was someone people were high on for the Bills. They thought he was a steal in the draft, and now he's going to miss the whole season.
Yeah, I know people have said that there could be an injury settlement, but that doesn't make sense for a 7th round rookie, and they have him for dirt cheap going into next camp. So I think he'll end up on IR for the season. But another guy that went on IR does not appear for the entire season, but Buccaneers wide receiver Jalen McMillan had a serious neck injury in the second preseason game. And because of that, it does seem like he is going to miss the first half of the year, potentially returning after the bye week of the Buccaneers, which is week 8 or 9 this season. So what do you think here, Alex? He was wide receiver 10 the last 4 weeks of last season for fantasy football and half point PPR.
Well, he and likely teammate Chris Godwin are going to miss some time. A minimum of 4 is my guess for both of them, which means Emeka Ibuka is going to shoot through the roof pretty soon.
You hate that.
I hate that everyone else is going to be in on him. I feel like it's an open secret everybody knows, and I'm disappointed. It means I'm likely not going to get him in my redraft leagues coming up. So that's going to stink, but I expect Ibuka and Evans to do well, and hopefully these guys come back. Injuries do happen, and it could happen for Ibuka or Mike Evans as well. So getting these guys back is going to be crucial to this team, who is already down their left tackle to start the year as well. I think they're going to have a slow start to the season, but be pretty competitive and likely have to do it through the air instead of on the ground because they've been struggling at least in preseason, on the ground so far.
Yeah, we will see. I really do hope Jalen does come back, though, because he was actually a fun player to watch last year. And I think that you have a theory that McMillan and Abuko are going to be the new Evans and Godwin.
Yeah, I think they're going to be the starting wide receivers in the very, very near future. It just depends on how long Evans and Godwin hold on.
Absolutely. All right. That is it for injuries. We have some camp battles here, Alex. A couple of your, well, not a couple of your favorites. Well, one of your favorites here, Joe Flacco, is named the Browns quarterback for week 1. What do you believe that means? Because it's very rare that someone's like, he's my week 1 starter. Like, what does that mean to you, and why was it said exactly that way?
They don't know exactly what they have in the other 3 guys. So Kenny Pickett has missed some time lately, and so he didn't get any action this past game. Sanders has a shoulder injury, I believe, or a muscle injury. I can't remember, but he missed this last game, and we only got really Dylan Gabriel. None of them have really separated, so they're going to go with their trusty Joe Flacco as they let the other guys battle it out. That's really all you can take from it. When they start losing a bunch of games and they're going to have to make decisions at the quarterback. And you and I have discussed multiple times that they're likely all going to get a chance to play at some point unless someone takes over and never gives it up.
How many quarterbacks do you think will start a Browns game this year?
Is there an over under out there? Because they have 4 now. There's no telling. They might end up starting 5 at some point. We'll see.
What if I said over under 3.5?
I would go over.
That's so crazy. Not a good situation to be in.
They've had the worst quarterback luck of probably anyone in the league.
We'll get to the team that has the worst quarterback luck right after this. And we're not going to commercial here because I know that just sounded like that. But the best case scenario for the Browns here is the quarterback that hits the ground running and never looks back is going to be one of the 2 rookies because then you have him under the rookie deal for the next 3 years. That would be the best case scenario for the Browns here. It wouldn't be Joe Flacco.
No, I think trading Joe Flacco would be in their benefit in the long run because they could get probably a decent pick.
And they might be able to get more for him if there's an injury, like a Aaron Rodgers injury. I know that's in division and that doesn't make a ton of sense, but if there's a Brock Purdy injury or whatever, Matt Stafford. You want Joe Flacco for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I think teams would be interested, and I think Flacco would be able to handle it.
Yeah, we will see there. And then we have the other thing that I was alluding to, the Colts naming quarterback Daniel Jones the starting quarterback for the season. So that's a very different verbiage than the Browns used for week 1 for the season. And it sounds like Shane Steichen has no intention of having a small leash on Jones. So it sounds like it'll be a longer leash, and we will see what actually happens this year. Right now, I'm projecting Jones to start 12 games and Richardson to start 5 games, but that could be because of injury. It could be because of a slew of things. It could be because of performance, and they're out of the playoffs. But I do think Daniel Jones does mean good things for certain pass catchers on the team, as well as the running back, Jonathan Taylor, as well.
Yeah, I've seen people post stats for Jonathan Taylor with and without Anthony Richardson, and it's much higher without him. So it's really good for him. Also, subsequently good for DJ Giddens as well, the rookie who's probably won the backup role behind him, as well as AD Mitchell might finally be getting some catchable throws, which will be nice because he reportedly has been the best wide receiver in camp, although it hasn't quite shown up in the actual preseason games yet. He's had some flashes, but nothing spectacular in the games. Uh, there's a lot of people on the internet that are saying if Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones are close, why wouldn't you go with the young guy who needs the reps? Well, the reason not to is because the coach is so dissatisfied with his progress. The supposedly quarterback guru coach is so dissatisfied with his progress, he can't trust him to have an actual offense going on game day. So he went with the very mediocre Daniel Jones, who at least is consistent and can at least run the offense and rely on the playmakers to actually make the plays. So that makes sense to me, and it definitely tilts towards them not being in on Anthony Richardson, and the head coach Shane Steichen and the general manager are now probably facing the biggest hot seats, the hottest hot seats in the league if things go sour. And I definitely think there's a good chance they go sour with the quarterbacks that they have got on this team.
Yep, I think this was their last shot. I don't know how the ownership change this year has impacted things too, because there might be Jim Irsay might have never wanted to fire Steichen and love Steichen. But Jim Irsay is unfortunately passed away now, and his daughters are running it, and they may have a different vision for the franchise moving forward. So this is a very big year for them, and I think when they referred to trust, they meant trust you with my job,
Yeah.
basically.
It's like, yeah, if they're close, why don't you just play Richardson? Well, if the coach really doesn't believe in Richardson at all, and he's gonna lose his job if he plays him, he's gonna play the other guy. I don't understand why they didn't even attempt to go after Aaron Rodgers because to me, on paper, this Colts team should be a competitive team and is a much better offense than what Rodgers is going to play with Pittsburgh. So why they went after Daniel Jones instead of someone like Aaron Rodgers? Or you also could have said, we're sitting Anthony Richardson to learn from Aaron Rodgers for the year. I mean, that would have been a more positive message for everyone and given them better hopes for this year than signing Daniel Jones and having Daniel Jones win the job over Anthony Richardson. So it's looking bleak for Indianapolis this year.
So if Daniel Jones played the entire season, do you think he'd be a top 20 fantasy quarterback?
It's hard to know. I mean, you take his best New York Giants year and then put him with the Colts weapons. I mean, maybe he could actually be a top 20 quarterback, but you sure as heck want to draft him super late and not pay full price for it.
No, I can definitely agree with that. Did you know in 2022 he finished QB 9 for the Giants?
Most of that was his rushing, wasn't it?
Yeah, but now here we are on the Colts offense. That should be better for him. Like, I think there's potential for Daniel Jones to be a fantasy quarterback to own this year.
Yeah, he may be a sneaky target in two quarterback leagues.
Absolutely. And it doesn't hurt learning from Steichen, especially after learning from O'Connell last year.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll have some former O'Connell proteges out there with Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones and see how they do with their new teams.
Do you think Jones now made the right decision signing with Indy because now he's actually got a starting gig versus competing with JJ McCarthy?
It's interesting because if, like I said, the scenario I threw out, if Rodgers went to Indianapolis, Daniel Jones would be the starting quarterback for Pittsburgh. which might be better for his skill set, even though it has worse options.
All fun things to think about, but Daniel Jones, I expect him to at least start the first half of the entire year. So that has really tanked and made Anthony Richardson undraftable. So we'll see how the season plays out, but I don't see how they don't toy with trading him because they're not going to pick up his fifth-year option. And if they don't trust him this year to audition him, why are they going to trust him next year to audition him? Like, they might as well just ship him now.
Well, my idea for a trade is you and I have talked about this offline is trade him to Philadelphia to be Jalen Hurts' backup and study there in that system and send Tanner McKee to the Colts to be someone who could potentially take Daniel Jones's job once he learns the offense because Tanner McKee already looks way better than Anthony Richardson, at least as a quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that would be the smart approach. I think Anthony Richardson's camp would push him to go to like the Jets with a defensive coach and another quarterback like Justin Fields that's similar to Anthony Richardson as far as style of play goes.
Yeah, that's what we need. We need another Justin Fields camp battle.
Exactly. All right. I know we're going to get to a few camp battles here in week 2 of the preseason, but the first matchup here, Alex, the Titans at the Falcons. What were some of your takeaways in this matchup?
So I think Elik Imanor is continuing to impress people so far in this preseason and camp, and I think he's likely going to win the wide receiver 2 job sooner rather than later, and could be a really big steal in fantasy leagues because he was pretty much going. Third round, maybe fourth round in your dynasty leagues, and now if he becomes a wide receiver 2 for the Titans and maybe the eventual number one if Ridley moves on after a year or two. And that's immense value. Redrafts, it's probably someone I'm just keeping a watch on and not necessarily drafting right now. But he is very interesting. And he's someone, as you know, Jeff, in my draft prep, I had him much higher in the wide receiver ranks for rookies than most people out there. So I like it. I like to see him living up to my expectations for him.
Absolutely, and he's going to have a great wide receiver to learn from in Tyler Lockett. So Lockett should be there on the bench or beside him all season long. So not a bad mentor to have.
All I can think about with Tyler Lockett is was it Dove or was it NFL Trade Rumors X handle that when it was released that he, abstained from relations until he was married, just posted a big picture of him bald and said, "Ah,
Terrible.
that was so cold-blooded, so cold-blooded."
Yeah. Well, speaking of the Titans, though, Cam Ward does appear to be the most under the radar first overall pick in a long time. And I believe that it could be one of the best things that could happen for Cam Ward here because it's going to lower expectations in year one. And I think giving the rookie, he could be very successful because of this, because of the expectations on him.
Yeah, I think he's got a good wide receiver in Calvin Ridley to throw the ball to. He's got a solid veteran running back in Pollard. He's got a fellow rookie, Elikai Minor, who looks pretty solid. Gunnar Helm, I think, is the tight end from Texas, who I think could take over the starting tight end job in the next year or two. So he's got pieces around him that could be very helpful, and they can keep adding more. I think Cam Ward, I really liked as a prospect, and I would compare him similarly to the Bryce Young and CJ Stroud draft. I think as a prospect, he's similar to those guys. And I know people might say, hey, that's crazy, but CJ Stroud wasn't that highly thought of in that rookie class. They said it was a down year, and Bryce Young had a really bad rookie year, which a lot of that was coaching, and he's looked better with the new coach. So he's in that category. And although he didn't rush much in college, I think he has rushing upside in the NFL. So he is someone you could take as a QB2 who could put up some really good weeks.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And put him in the Daniel Jones category that you're just monitoring on the waiver wire. All right. Anything on the Falcons, Alex?
We don't know who's going to emerge as the next wide receiver for sure for the Falcons, but someone who hasn't really gotten much receiving work in the preseason games, but has been the talk of their camp, who could get a starting role. I think it's Casey Washington, I think, is getting a claim there and could end up being the third wide receiver behind London and Mooney. And Mooney, we're still waiting to see when he comes back as well. So he's someone who might miss the first week, might not. Something to keep an eye on. But I don't know why the Falcons weren't in on Jonathan Mechie, because he probably would have been immediately the wide receiver 3 there, maybe even the wide receiver 2, based on how that roster is.
Oh, right. We will see what happens with the Falcons, especially as the pass catchers. I always pick on them, so we will see. Could this be the year Kyle Pitts breaks out? I've heard that one before. All right.
For him, it's
Game number
more of a bounce back.
What's up?
Said for
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts, it's more of a bounce back.
Yeah. 2-year bounce back. All right. We got the Chiefs at the Seahawks. And one thing that I noted is Milroe, Locke, and my boy Sam Darnold. They all looked good in this game. So whatever offensive system they're running and how they're running it is going to be very successful. I think they will score a bunch of points this year. Martinez, the running back for the Seahawks, he looks like he's going to be a sneaky add given Charbonnet and Walker's injury histories. What do you think of the Seattle backfield right now, Alex, and their quarterback situation?
I think it's really deep. I think it's 3 or 4 deep. Not only Martinez, but George Holani, the fullback, who's still getting a lot of usage both as a runner and as a receiver. So they are pretty stacked, and any of them could have a big week if there's injuries. I'm more concerned about who the pecking order is on the receiving side, because Jackson Smith and Jigba should be the top target here, but everyone in camp is talking about Torrey Horton, the rookie. No one's talking about Cooper Kupp at all. And while Elijah Arroyo is getting a lot of praise, it's not really showing up in the games yet. So I don't really know if as much as I love Jackson Smith and Jigba, if I can risk a high pick on him right now.
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be very, very interesting this year. And I really do hope, because I know you brought him up, Arroyo, I hope that he has a great rookie year, but I think Brock Bowers has ruined tight ends for everyone for the foreseeable future, because everyone's going to be like, saw it once, it's going to happen again, and it's happened once. All right.
Well,
what do you think about the
on
Chiefs there?
The Chiefs side, the only real positive thing from the Chiefs is that none of these other running backs look that great behind Isaiah Pacheco. Pacheco looks like he's healthy. He's locked into the starting role, and nobody's really drafting him. He's going in the 6th round, and he's probably going to produce a much higher value. So I would snatch up Pacheco wherever you can.
Man, you sound like me earlier this offseason when I was trying to trade him, trying to be a used car salesman on one of our dynasty leagues. But this was the scenario. This was the best case scenario that I saw coming for Pacheco. No one else saw it, and here I am still with him, and I love the results.
I mean, I like Rashad Smith as much as anyone else out there, but it's not going to be this year. So redrafts, I'm not even going to touch Rashad Smith. He's like a deep, deep dynasty guy. I don't really care for Kareem Hunt unless Pacheco gets hurt again. Carson Steele, I don't ever foresee Carson Steele being a starter on this team ever. So it's really just Isaiah Pacheco. Maybe Kansas City would be interested in a Brian Robinson Jr. I mean, that might be a thing.
That'd be
Everyone
a
in the
good
AFC
thing.
West could use a Brian Robinson Jr.
They all could. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, they did sign Elijah Mitchell, who had a couple good years with the 49ers, but remains to be seen if he'll ever recatch lightning in a bottle. All right.
All right.
Hop over to the Panthers at the Texans. Alex, we fought during this matchup. We fought. And it's crazy right now because the Panthers, like Bryce Young, can't understand how they played one series against the Texans and then got the starters out. Don't even understand the point. Maybe get them used to getting dressed and getting ready. Problem was, it wasn't a Sunday 1:00 game, which is what most of the Panthers games are. So I don't really get the dress rehearsal portion of that either. But after Bryce Young and team came out, Andy Dalton went in, got injured his elbow. They hopped over to the UFL and they grabbed a quarterback also named Bryce off of the UFL, and it does sound like there's a potential for Dalton to miss some time to begin this here. Alex, what else did you know about the Panthers in this game? And we can hop over to the Texans after.
Well, I think they only had Bryce Young out there for a little bit because the Texans defense was killing the Panthers. There was one bright spot where Tet McMillan beat Stingley, and if the quarterback noticed, it would have been a 55-yard touchdown pass. So Tet is able to compete with top end corners out there, so that should be a positive note for the Panthers. Outside of that, the Texans defense looked elite against the Panthers, who couldn't get really anything going in this game. So sorry to for that to happen to the Panthers. I would pump brakes on expectations this year. But the Texans, however, were able to get a passing touchdown in the red zone, which big change. Their offensive line looked great. So it seems like they're figuring that out. The running backs look fine. Nick Chubb looked better in a season game with full contact allowed. So he was actually able to bulldozer people over. Had some spring to his step, but I'm not sold that he's a lock for the roster yet. I know you think he's a bona fide starter. I don't think that that's the case. Woody Marks looked good as well. So I think the Texans shouldn't really be in the marketplace for a running back at this point. I'll also throw out there that Christian Kirk is clearly the wide receiver 2 for the Texans right now. The rookies look great, but they still like Xavier Hutchinson. Hutchinson's still nominally the wide receiver 3 for them at this moment. He could get passed up or he could stay there for a little bit. Back on the Panthers side, though, I was very interested that they used Trevor Etienne a lot, both as a rusher, receiver, and in special teams. So he's at least going to probably keep a role somewhere on this team and stick around for a little bit.
I hope so, because in his first game, he did fumble a punt, and that wasn't a good start to his NFL career. So I'm hoping that he can turn it around, play a decent role. I don't really see him being anything more than the third running back, maybe passing Dowdle towards the end of the year, but that's about it for Trevor E. And then you got Jonathan Brooks to factor in next year, so that'll be an interesting backfield for Carolina.
I mean, that's if he can make the team. If he's coming back from multiple injuries to his knee, I mean, they may just cut their losses as soon as he's healthy.
Very possible. We will see. That was a big pick to give up for, 2 games?
I mean, they gave a contract to Hubbard, and they brought in Dowdle, and I could see them going for another running back again, potentially.
Absolutely. But Hubbard's here for a little while, so I expect it to be his gig for at least the next 2 seasons as the main guy.
And we'll be on year 4 for Brooks.
Absolutely. Wait, year 3, because his rookie year was last year. This was supposed to be year 2.
Well, if it's no, because it'd
Next
be
year will
year
be year
4 if Chuba Hubbard's going to be there for the next. Chuba Hubbard's going to be there starting
Oh,
for
yeah,
this year
yeah.
and next year. So, I mean, there's
Absolutely.
almost no point for Brooks.
I know, unless Hubbard gets injured. You never know with these backs these days.
Yeah.
All right. Alex, we got to hop over to the Browns at the Eagles next. And Gabriel looked almost as good as Sanders did the previous week. Obviously, not the touchdowns, had a turnover, but also the Browns named Flacco the quarterback this week. So does not seem like Gabriel or Sanders did enough to warrant to be legitimate competition for Flacco, but the writing was on the wall with Flacco not playing at all in the preseason. Alex, anything you would like to add to the Browns here?
I mean, really, in My opinion, on one hand, Gabriel did it against the Eagles, albeit, the backups. But on the other hand, his routes that he's thrown the ball to were more short yardage. He looked overwhelmed in the pocket. He obviously couldn't see because he's 5'5" playing quarterback in the NFL. I think Sanders was better. I don't know if Sanders was legitimately out or if it, was hiding him against the Eagles or just giving Gabriel a shot. But I don't think Gabriel's it. I know it's small sample size, but I don't see how he could be a legitimate quarterback in the NFL. So Flacco makes the most sense to start going forward until either he gets hurt, has bad games, or they lose a lot and they have to play a young guy. Really, Flacco and Sanders are really the only ones I think that could actually maybe get wins on this team.
We will see. Would you think of the other things that the Browns did in this game? I think Deontay Johnson is one of your favorites this year.
He looks bad every preseason game. Everyone wants to hold on to what he did with the Steelers years ago now, and even some bright spots with the Panthers, but he looks toast. Absolutely toast.
All right. We'll see if he can bounce back and even latch on to a roster spot. Do you think Pierre Strong makes a strong case for the Browns roster here?
I mean, he had a good game. He had 13 carries for 89 yards, and he had 4 catches, albeit only for like 10 yards. But as a running back 4, maybe running back 3, if the Quinshon Judkins issue continues on without him being signed, and maybe even if he gets on the commissioner's exempt list after being signed or suspended. So they need someone out there behind Ford and Sampson.
Absolutely. This is so crazy. I don't think I I didn't I don't think we've ever seen a situation like Judkins here where he's unsigned.
No, we're getting some breaking cases with Judkins and Rice.
Absolutely. All right. One of your favorites in the preseason for the Eagles, Kyle McCord has a bit of a rebound, and he figures to latch onto the back of the Eagles roster. Anything notable from the Eagles? Seems like they played a lot of backups.
Not much for the Eagles. I mean, I think the Eagles might roll with 3 quarterbacks unless they trade McKee to a team, but they might be rolling with all 3 of them.
Absolutely. And Alex, we talked about this earlier. We'll hop over to the Packers at the Colts, but this week was supposed to be the Richardson and Jones decision, as we announced earlier. The Jones decision came down very shortly after this preseason game, and we have an ability here, if Daniel Jones is consistent, to see one of your favorites, Michael Pittman, actually rebound this year. And I know you've been waiting for a rebound season. Daniel Jones at times has made Darius Slayton look like a viable NFL wide receiver. He could really benefit from having a good Michael Pittman, and Michael Pittman could also benefit from having a good Daniel Jones.
I mean, maybe, but I certainly would feel a lot better if Rodgers was there because I feel like he would be Rodgers' #1 guy.
Absolutely. And it's anything else that you've noticed here from the Colts?
From the Colts? No, not really. Besides, I think DJ Giddens has definitely won the running back 2 job already, and I think he's a nice guy to keep an eye on if anything happens to Jonathan Taylor in the season, because he would be the primary guy to get the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Khalil Herbert, I think, was supposed to battle for a spot this year, but he's been injured most of camp, so no battle whatsoever. I know you're shaking your head over there. People can't hear it rattling, but I hear it over here. He didn't even get to battle this time.
Khalil Herbert is your Trey Sermon. He's not going to do anything. Like everywhere he
Who's had a
goes, he
better
doesn't do
year, though?
anything. It's like Cam Akers all over again. You're like, but he can do it. I swear he can do it. No, he can't. He's not good enough.
Alex, my love for Cam Akers, which has nothing to do with this game here, is based on the fact that he came back from a torn Achilles in 4 months. And I was just in awe and amazed. There's nothing he cannot do, I mean.
Maybe he should have recovered a little bit longer, and maybe his career would still be in good shape.
He would have been able to rehab his career.
Yes, like his Achilles. The
Uh,
Packers'
uh,
backup running back situation is getting interesting. New signing Israel Abanaconda is looking good. Emmanuel Wilson had a good game. Marshawn Lloyd was on his way to having a good game before he got yet another soft tissue injury. Was this his third or fourth at this point? Like, dude, drink some pickle juice. Like, get some massages, drink some pickle juice, stretch, do some yoga, whatever you got to do. Like, I don't know what the problem is with him, but I don't think I could roster him in any league this year. Like, even when he's healthy, like, are you gonna hurt your hammy yet again? Because I'm not gonna stash somebody who's having these issues. Like, maybe comes back healthy, finish off the year strong. Okay. But dude, get on the field.
Absolutely. And I was giggling over here because he's one of your favorites and I know how much you love him, but when you can't stay on the field, you are of no use to me in fantasy. So you're right. I think this might be Emmanuel Wilson's job, at least for the beginning part of the season. And it's pretty valuable. If Jacobs ever went down, Wilson would be an interesting start some weeks. So not
Yeah.
there's been worse backups to get.
Well, Jacobs had a heavy workload last year, and backs that have heavy workloads in the NFL take a punishment and usually have injuries or setbacks the following year. So someone else on that roster could be pretty good.
Absolutely. All right, Dolphins at the Lions, and I believe that Quinn Ewers has played very well in this second game here. And I know the Dolphins signed Zach Wilson to be the backup this year. Do you believe that there's any chance that Ewers is the backup this year?
Not early on. I think Wilson's going to be early on, but if Tua gets hurt and Wilson struggles, well, I think they could absolutely go to Ewers. And with Tua's injury history, they're going to roster all three. And if they don't, then they're putting themselves at huge risk. They're all kind of similar caliber. They all kind of fit McDaniel's scheme. So Ewers is a rookie. He's the youngest of them, I believe. And he has some fixing to do from his last couple years struggling in college. So it's a positive sign for him. Obviously going against Detroit's backups. So take that with a grain of salt. But Zach Wilson had an okay game himself.
Right. What do you think about their backfield right now? It seems like Achan is dealing with a little bit of an injury, should be back by week 1, so not a terrible injury, but enough to keep him out of practice at least a week.
If Ajan's going to be playing week 1. Honestly, they said it's a calf injury, and calf injuries are very much tied to potential Achilles injuries. So I think that they are going to rest him longer to avoid getting an Achilles tear during the season. And I think the Colts are a soft enough target that they might keep him out week 1 so that they can have Achan for the whole season. Ollie Gordon looks like he's on the verge of passing Jalen Wright in the backfield. Jalen Wright has struggled in camp, has struggled in the preseason a little bit. Didn't really do much last year either. And Ollie Gordon has all he's done is made some plays and look really good in preseason so far. He looks like his 2023 self, not his 2024 collegiate self. So maybe he is better than people gave him credit for, and he's an interesting guy to keep an eye on as the season progresses.
All right. You know I love me some Jalen Wright. Who do you got? What do you got here for the Lions? You got some love for somebody?
You know, I have some love for Isaac Tesla. He looks like he's probably going to earn the wide receiver 3 job in Detroit. To me, it reminds me a lot of the Puka Nakua hype. He does a lot of the same things where he does the dirty work and block. He's very fast. He's got the yards after the catch ability. All he does is catch a touchdown in every preseason game. I don't know why you hate on this guy so much. Like, maybe he doesn't have a huge rookie year, but he easily is earning himself a role in this offense, and he could be the eventual replacement for you dynasty players out there for Jameson Williams in this offense because they can't pay everybody, and they'll probably decide to move on from Jameson Williams instead of pay him. So I like Tesla a lot, especially in the dynasty realm.
Yeah, we will see. I definitely don't hate the player. So I know you're over here thinking that I hate Tesla. Not true at all. I hope good things for Tesla, but I am sick of people with their player comps to somebody that's elite that is still currently playing. And we've heard those comps with Anthony Richardson and Josh Allen. And I constantly tell you, like, those players are one of one. Puka Nacua is a one of one player. And I feel like we just hitch our wagons to the what could be. And I hate the what could be being an elite player because I don't believe that is going to happen here.
Well, no one thought Puka was going to be elite. He was a fifth round pick.
I know, but we all want these great stories to happen again right away, right after they just happened.
The Lions traded the equivalent of 3 third-round picks to take him at pick number 70 in the third round. So obviously they really, really like him, and I think the traits are there. We'll see if he can do it on a consistent basis in games. But everyone does the comps typically based on upside for the most part.
We will see. As I said, I would love for this to be a story. I probably will not own any shares of Tesla this season, and I don't in Dynasty as of right now. So he was a guy
I
that I
know.
threw out in bidding if I
I
wanted
know.
folks to burn through a little bit of money.
Yeah. Very dickish of you.
We're gonna have to bleep that out.
We'll see.
All right. The next matchup here was the Patriots at the Vikings. And it's really weird that JJ McCarthy isn't getting a ton of play this season. I'll let you break down what you think that actually means. Are they hiding him? Do they believe they have a winner here? But Alex, what did you make of McCarthy's performance, the Vikings and the Patriots here?
I think that they don't want him to get hurt before the season even starts, like he got hurt last year. So that's why they're keeping him out. Overall, kind of thought the Vikings didn't really do much fantasy wise. I mean, I'm always going to keep an eye on Ty Felton, who I think could win the wide receiver 3 job at some point. But other than that, there's not much to talk about the Vikings. Patriots, however, I mean, Drake May still looks solid. Travion Henderson looks great. Wide receiver wise, I don't know what this wide receiver room is going to look like because the assumption is Steph Diggs is immediately going to be the unquestioned number one who's going to get a lot of the targets, but we haven't really seen him and Drake May play yet together. So I don't even know if they're on the same page. We don't even know who the wide receiver 2 is going to be. Is it going to be the freshly drafted Kyle Williams that the fantasy community is high on? Is Jalen Polk going to be off this roster? Is Baker going to be off this roster? Is Mac Hollins going to be a feature? Because every coach loves Mac Hollins, but he bounces around team to team to team. So is he going to be someone that's going to be featured in this offense? And then everyone else, like a lot of other people were talking about Efton Chisholm III, who keeps putting up big stats in games and looks great in camp. But we're not even talking about Demario Douglas, who everyone says in camp has a great connection with Drake May. So I have no idea what to make of this receiver core. And on top of that, I think with the running backs that they have, Stevenson, Henderson, Gibson, they may just run the ball constantly. And then even Drake May running the ball. So how much receiving action is there going to be? And is anyone in this offense realistically worth owning at any point?
We will see. We will see. You know, I'm a big Diggs guy, so we'll see where that ends up. We'll see if he plays week 1 because there's been some interviews making rounds this week, but it sounds like he's pushing really hard to play week 1. All right. I think Chisholm, though, will be a practice squad stash. And I do love me some Mac Hollins. Wish he was still on the Bills. But hopefully New England enjoys him. I do think that the beat writers in New England tend to paint a more rosy picture for their players than they might actually be. So we'll see. Anything else before we could hop to the West?
Nope, that's it for me.
Alex, let you break this one down because I know there's a guy that you want to talk about very much. And the 49ers at the Raiders. And go.
No Connell. No.
That's your sermon.
Ashton Dempsey looked great. You know, that last week when it was 3 rushes for -1 yard or whatever, everyone overreacted. And sure enough, Dempsey looked great, had a really tough run after coming back from a stinger. Looked really good all around. Geno Smith looked better in this matchup. I'd like to see Jack Betch get involved more often. People are panicking about Brock Bowers' usage, but it's just preseason. He's the best player on this team. Everyone chill out. I don't know what to make of Trey Tucker and Jacoby Myers if both of them are going to be unquestioned starters when the year starts, or just one of them. And then Dante Thornton Jr. didn't have a catch this go around, but he supposedly is a starter in practice. I don't know if that's true or not, but they have some potential. They have some blemishes on this team, but I would not be surprised if they outperform expectations, but I don't expect playoffs either. 49ers, they just look bad. I mean, Mac Jones, I believe, got banged up in this one, and I think they signed another backup quarterback. The running back room looks really rough behind Christian McCaffrey, although Isaac Guerrero, I think, is coming back this week already. Your boy, Robbie Chosen, had 92 yards on 5 catches. So, you think he makes the roster, or you think he gets cut?
I mean, honestly, it depends on Jennings being healthy enough to start the year active. It depends on a lot of items here because the 49ers have a bunch of injuries.
Brandon Ayuk?
Bunch of injuries. They might only have Pearsall, and then, yeah, Chosen makes the roster then because there's no one else.
And Russell Gage Jr. is still in the league. Isaiah Hodgins. Yeah, it's brutal behind those top guys.
Yeah, I don't think any of them are longed for the entire year, but we will see. Anything else on the 49ers?
Nope, that's it.
Your boy Genty actually made a bounce back, so we'll see if he can continue it going forward, but he's going to be one of the most closely watched players this upcoming year. Alex, we got the Ravens at the Cowboys, all backups in this game here. What'd you take from the backups playing in this game here?
I don't think there was really much to talk about. The Cowboys running back room looks completely awful, even playing against backups. So they should be in on a running back, but I doubt the division rival will trade them their running back. A bright spot for the Ravens is Tez Walker showed some signs of life, getting 6 catches for 61 yards. So some improvement from him. He's going to be behind. You got Flowers, Bateman, Hopkins. I don't know if he'll earn out the number 4 and number 5 role, but he looks like he is going to stay on the roster, so that's nice. Not really anything else here.
Right. So, Tez Walker, not someone on your radar right now. I know he got cut in a bunch of dynasty leagues.
Not on my radar right now. I don't expect it to be that pass heavy of an offense to get the fourth wide receiver good stats. So no, he's not even on my dynasty list.
Right. Let's hop over to the Chargers at the Rams, the Battle of LA here. And Trey Lance has another good performance, another step closer to the backup job here.
I think he already has the backup job. I mean, I'd be surprised if he wasn't at this point.
Right. What do you think about Stetson Bennett? Do you think he has any upward mobility at all this year?
Stetson Bennett looks pretty great this game. I mean, they gave him 40 throws. That is a lot of passing attempts for him, and he basically didn't play all of last season. But he looked good. Jarquez Hunter had an okay game. Cody Schrader had an okay game. Blake Corum really didn't. So I'm wondering how the backup role is shaking out behind Kyrie Kyron Williams. Trey Harris for LA, looked really good. Even his offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, said he had an elite play on the sideline. Keandre Lambert-Smith had a couple really good deep catches. So those guys are very encouraging. I know you have QJ Love, but he got hurt in this game and taken to the hospital and apparently has a concussion. So they're slow playing it, but I know you think he's gonna be the wide receiver 3 behind McConkey and Keenan Allen. I don't think so. I think he's wide receiver 5 at this point, and I think that Keandre Lambert-Smith and Trey Harris are playing for wide receiver 3 and 4.
Wow, that's a bold statement there. So we'll see to enter the season. I just think that QJ gives a element that the rest don't give. Like he can consistently beat defenders.
I don't think so. I think his big plays have all been running through zone coverage and like they design him through zone coverage into a gap and that's it. And if he doesn't get that, he does nothing for the game. So I think he's a situational deep threat guy and that's it.
Right. I know we differ on that, and I'm not sure if we'll ever see to eye, but hopefully Quentin Johnston gets another shot here. So from the Battle of LA to the Battle of New York, the Jets and the Giants play here. First thing I noticed was Fields plays. So I think his toe injury is behind him, and we can put that in the rear view. And speaking of the quarterbacks, Dart looked really good in this game. Do you think he gets
At some point, yeah. And I was actually in on Dart in the draft process, and everyone was saying that he'll never translate from the Ole Miss offense into the league, but I think he's done very well, and I think he may save the head coach Brian Dable's job potentially if he looks good in any season games, because then it gives hope for that team. The GMs outright said that they are not going to move Jameis Winston, so makes me wonder: is Russell Wilson cooked? Is he maybe on the move, and they're going to roll with Jackson Dart and Jameis Winston, and maybe even still Tommy DeVito going forward?
Yeah, I think it's more likely that DeVito is off of the roster. But there has been reports that came out this week that even if Russell Wilson isn't the quarterback of the future, he's really changed the culture just being in the building. So culture players are hard to find, and once you find one, I don't know if you drop them like that, but we will see leading up to next week's cut down day. All right. What did you learn from the Jets, who played backups for the most part in this game?
For the Jets, I mean, Braylon Allen is doing well in camp and in these games, and I think he's going to carve a big role of this offense. And a lot of uncertainty around Brees Hall this year. Is he going to put together a good season? Is Braylon Allen going to take 50% of the snaps? Is Braylon Allen going to take over? Are they going to trade Brees Hall? I don't know, but Braylon Allen's going to start shooting up boards. Like he was someone that was going to be a late round flyer for people, and now I think he's going to go in the middle of drafts.
Yeah, we'll see. Everyone looked at me like I was crazy when I turned Brees Hall into Isaiah Pacheco in the offseason in Dynasty. And here you are talking up Pacheco and kind of talking down Brees Hall.
I like Brees Hall, and if he went to the Dallas Cowboys, he would be first round pick, in my opinion.
He's a
So
stud.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
What about
just.
Washington? Washington's looking for that complete running back, like you said.
I mean, that would be interesting because they could trade Robinson and Eckler probably to get Brees Hall and would complete the backfield for the Jets with Braylon Allen being the number one, Robinson being his backup, Eckler being the passing down guy and third down back. So that would be interesting.
Yeah. I don't love trades this late because I feel like it puts the player really behind in the off season and to learn the playbook and get chemistry and all that fun stuff on the fly when they could have had this whole ramp up period.
Well, it happens at this point in the preseason when everyone's getting ready for cutdowns.
Great. Anything else from the Battle of New York?
Nope.
All right. We'll go to the Buccaneers at the Steelers. And it's interesting that the Steelers do not want to start any starters this preseason, considering this is the first year that they're all playing together. But it's an interesting choice. And I think the Buccaneers need their starters to play even less because we had Jalen McMillan get an injury. And Alex, anything else from the Steelers or the Buccaneers side of the ball here?
I thought it was interesting that they played Bucky Irving so much. He had 8 rushes and then he had a receiving touchdown, but nothing really got going on the ground for the Buccaneers until Irving and Tucker were out and they're on their fourth stringers out there. But with Baker out this one, it seems like the Steelers just kind of stacked the box and stopped them. So I am kind of worried for the Buccaneers offense just a little bit. I don't expect us to get the Baker numbers that we got the last 2 years, so adjust accordingly, basically. And as I said, I think Bucky Irving's numbers are not going to be as efficient and as good this year as last year on a per game basis. So I would be very wary of that. Sean Tucker, I think, could unseat Rashad White, to be honest with you. But Rashad White, I'm just not big on him at all.
Oh, right. Anything from the Steelers?
Roman Wilson had some explosive plays. This last one, he had a 42-yard catch and ended up with 2 catches for 72 yards. I've always thought of him more as like a slot guy or more as a guy in the mold of, I know you hate comps, and I'm not saying he has the same upside, but kind of utilized in the way that Amon-Ra St. Brown would be, like inside out, kind of do your dirty work. I'm not saying he has that upside, but that stylistic type of wide receiver. And it's nice to see, positive reports about him in camp and see him actually doing stuff in the games and positive vibes from Aaron Rodgers as well when he talks about him. So Roman Wilson likely at this stage, unless there's more movement, is likely the wide receiver 2 on this Pittsburgh offense. For whatever that means, this offense that favors running back committees and multiple tight ends, very little wide receiver 2 usage. So I don't know what that means for you, but he is someone to watch as a dart throw at the end or as easy waiver wire pickup.
Yeah, I hope for the best, but we'll see. We will see. All right. The Cardinals at the Broncos is our next matchup here. Backups play the majority of this game as well. Because of that, does that mean, because I don't think Dobbins got any run in this game, does that mean Dobbins is the starter going into 2025?
No, but it's going to be a frustrating committee until someone demands through their good play to be the guy. So I really don't want to touch anyone in this backfield unless I absolutely have to. And even then, it would be super late. Yeah. There's just too many guys. You got RJ Harvey, Dobbins, McLaughlin, and then whoever else ends up being the fourth, I don't even know. Could be Estime, could be Beatty. I'm not really excited about either one of those guys, but I'm staying away from this backfield.
Are you drafting any of their wide receivers?
I'm only going to draft Cortland Sutton if I'm able to, but a couple of their young guys look good. You want to talk about those guys?
Yeah, I think last year's rookie Troy Franklin and this year's rookie Pat Bryant looked really good in this game. Very big on the confidence building portion right now, so they're not making stupid mistakes even when defenses are playing a little bit lighter on them right now. So this is all about building confidence and trying to parlay something into the regular season. Do you think that either of those will be weapons for Bo Nix? Because we also have Vele and Mims as well as Sutton to talk about in that core.
I think Troy Franklin and Mims play a similar role. So I think they're going to get rotated. And I think that Vele and Bryant play a similar role and they're going to get rotated. But Sean Payton did recently have very nice things to say about Pat Bryant, saying that he doesn't complain. He's improved a lot. He's a good kid. He blocks. So he is earning the confidence of the coach, and that is the best step forward to get playing time. And getting playing time leads to getting catches and stats. So out of that group, Pat Bryant has the most upside.
Playing time leads to catches. That's going to be leads to stats.
Mhm.
That's an Alexism right there. All right. If there's nothing else there, we'll hop over to the Jaguars at the Saints. And this offense is definitely going to be different, especially under Cohen. Hunter didn't play in this game. He's dealing with a minor injury right now. And without him, Trevor Lawrence still looked pretty good in this offense. What do you believe? What do you believe is their ceiling this year for the Jaguars?
Well, first, they played against the Saints, which don't have the defense that got them to the Super Bowl years ago. So they played against the bottom feeder and only managed 17 points. Two, Mr. Super healthy and super high stamina and want to play two ways in the NFL. Travis Hunter, didn't play because he's banged up, which makes me concerned about his availability for the whole season if he really pushes the issue for playing both ways. And then to your question, I think Jaguars finished second in the AFC South by default because of the Colts quarterback situation and because the Titans just don't have enough star power to get enough wins to be there. But I don't see the Jaguars as a playoff team. It's hard for me to even imagine them making the playoffs because their defense is terrible and their offense is just skill players without that great of an O line. So, I mean, unless the coaching change makes that much of a difference, I can't really see them being that competitive because they're nowhere close to as good as a roster as the Buccaneers were the last couple of seasons.
That's true. I think you got to give Cohen a little time to build his own roster out, and we're seeing that with the running back position. How do you think this running back position shakes out?
I know we're going to disagree on this, but I think Tank Bigsby should be the starter, and I think he will be the starter. And they even designed a pass play for him in this game in which he got 19 yards on. So they said it couldn't be done, and yet here it is, proof it can happen. I don't buy into Travis Etienne at this point in his career, and I do believe the rumors that he is on the trade block. Bashal Tutin to me is a high upside change of pace back. He's got the home run speed, but he's got fumbling issues, so I think that will surface at some point. And then they also got LaQuint Allen, who is either going to be the fourth running back on the team or move down to the practice squad at cutdowns.
He's a dynasty favorite right now.
It's hard to be a dynasty favorite because everyone is huge on Bashal Tutin.
That's true. All right. For the Saints side, who do you believe will end up as the week one starter?
I think Rattler will, and then they'll at some point shift over to Tyler Shock.
Yeah, I don't really know what the Saints hope happened at this point. I think they were hoping for a clear winner, but that really hasn't been the case just yet.
Well, the good news for all these teams that are likely to be in play for the number one pick, Arch Manning just recently came out and said he doesn't know what his grandfather Archie is talking about him staying in college 2 years. He never said that, and he hasn't even made a decision about staying in college next year. So obviously, that gives hope to everybody that he might actually enter the draft. So maybe the Saints hope they both stink and draft Arch Manning, the latest Manning, to play in New Orleans.
Could happen. It could happen. All right, let's move over to the last two games here. The first is the Bills at the Bears. Really isn't much to talk about the Bills. I know you're going to give us some Frank Gore Jr. love, but the Bills don't put very much notable down as far as tape, and the coach really called them out because this was an absolute blowout. I'll let you give your Frank Gore love, and then we can hop over to any Bears notes that you from the game.
Yeah, Frank Gore had 12 touches for 81 yards. I mean, he did have a fumble at the end of it, but he looked very, very good for the majority of his play. I think he's going to be on the roster. I honestly think so far he's looked better than the more acclaimed Ray Davis, and I maintained that stance last year. I liked Frank Gore Jr. more than Ray Davis, so I really think he could push for playing time if anything happens to James Cook at all this season.
We will see. We will see. And I really think he's got a shot to at least make the roster right now, especially with Davis that you just mentioned. They love Ty Johnson, so that's not even a question. And obviously James Cook just re-signing this week as well, so I don't expect a big role for Gore or for Ray Davis going into this year. All right, anything from the Bears? I know Caleb Williams got his first action here under his coach Ben Johnson.
It's so silly, man. The Bears' first string offense played against the Bills like second, third string defense, and everyone's saying, "Oh my gosh, look how great Caleb Williams looks." Okay, he looked fine, but again, he didn't play anyone this time. So come on, pump the brakes. I don't know. I did hear that a rumor is that Bears executives told someone in the media that they think Luther Burden might be the best receiver on the team over DJ Moore and over Rome Odunze. So I thought that was an interesting nugget. Colston Loveland looked good. Even Cole Kmet had a really good play. Olamide Zacchaeus had a 36-yard touchdown catch that everyone's raving about and saying he might be wide receiver 3 on this team, but I don't buy it. So I'm not going to overreact to that at all.
Yeah, that'll be one of the more interesting battles. Obviously, I would love the rookie Luther Burden to be the unquestioned 3, but there was a quote in the next game that we're going to get to from Greg Olson, who'd been talking to the Bears brass, and they think that Burden could be the best receiver that they have on their roster. So, all right. Do you have any idea what the Bears will do at running back this season?
I think the only option they have right now is the role with DeAndre Swift, and then probably Monagai is the backup there, and maybe the short yardage guy. No idea what's going on with Roshan Johnson at all, and
Just
maybe
disappeared.
they'll be interested in bringing in another running back as well to compete with those guys.
Be interesting. I would expect that in the next 18-ish months for Ben Johnson to install his running back there, whoever it is. But yeah, last time Swift played with Ben Johnson was 2022 in Detroit, and Ben Johnson only gave him 99 carries on the year. So be interesting to see if things have changed or not.
It's also interesting to note that DeAndre Swift has never finished below RB2 ever in his career, and this might be his best statistical performing year so far going into year 6.
It could. He's also played in this scheme with this head coach before, so we'll see if he's. And he's also been shipped off by this head coach. So we'll see. We'll see. I've seen the DeAndre Swift show. He always gets drafted much higher than his value, which is which is running back 19 to like 22, I think, or 23.
All
Oh,
right.
right.
Well, last game we had the Bengals at the Commanders. Jeff, did you have any takeaways in this one?
So I did find it interesting that the Bengals are starting Joe Burrow and trying to get that offense off to a very hot start. So that's pretty interesting to me. And hopefully that means Zach Taylor and team really hit the ground running for the first time ever. So that'll be interesting to see if everyone's healthy, got a full camp in. Like, there's been no distractions other than Trey Hendrickson, but we'll see what happens with that. And as far as Tajay Brooks, how you feeling about him these days?
I think he's going to end up being the running back too on the Bengals, and I thought he had a pretty solid game against the Commanders.
Great. So we believe that he's beaten out Samaje Perine. Is that his competition?
That is his really sole competition behind Chase Brown. I am concerned that Chase Brown isn't looking super great as a runner on the ground for the Bengals. So they're worried about their offensive line enough that they're potentially going to bring in a new guard pretty soon. I think they met with Dalton Risner, former Detroit Lion guard, and maybe that will help get some push or open up a gap for their running game to be more effective.
Hopefully, because that'll only help. But Chase and Burrow do appear to be on the same page and ready to roll as soon as the season gets kicked off. So we will see. All right. Now we can hop over to the Commanders side, and I cannot believe that they're going to be trading Brian Robinson Jr. That means that this opens up the battle for who the running back is going to be. Who do you believe starts for running back this year for the Commanders?
Well, I think everyone thinks that Ja'Cory, now Bill Krosky Merritt, starts immediately, and that's who everyone's jumping on. I think he could take over the role at some point, but Chris Rodriguez Jr. looked good, and he got the start in this game, and he's probably going to start off the year as the number one if they get rid of Robinson. And they're going to have a committee here. So Chris Rodriguez is someone to keep an eye on himself when everyone else is looking at Ja'Cory Croskett Merritt. So
yeah, there's a lot of
unless
jokes online right now about Bill, they call him. There's a lot of jokes about him being drafted in the first round right now. Pump the brakes. You gotta realize we're drafting Brian Robinson Jr. prior to all of this news. He was not a top 5 round pick, so yeah, I feel like that's big shoes to fill in year one.
we'll see you there. Anything else that you noticed in this game, or is that about it?
That is about it for my entire week 2 recap.
Okay, well, that is also it for this episode of the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast. Thank you all for downloading and listening to this episode. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please leave us a comment and share the show. Every little bit helps.
You can find us on all podcasting apps by searching N2E Fantasy and with our handle N2E Fantasy on all social media platforms. Please join our community and give us a follow. Until next time, take care of yourself and remember, it's truly never too early for fantasy football. Thank you again.
Bye, everybody.